It's Wednesday in South Carolina. Welcome to the Touchdowns podcast presented by Harrison Williamson Cross Country Mortgage. Shout out to Beach Carantes. I didn't shout you out when I had the I Love Lenoris tank on last episode, but shout out Beach, Columbia native, class of 2015, and just a goat in the game. So appreciate the gift, and that'll get some wear and tear on Victory Sundays next fall. Let's dive into the portal, Thomas. Quick turnaround from last recording, just 2 days ago on Monday, but we're back at it. There's just more news that we need to talk about related to players that we've gotten commits from in the portal. Also, some players that we've retained from our 2025 roster. So quickly, I'm just going to run through who we've picked up in the portal. That would be Jordan Thomas, defensive tackle from Georgia. Jaden Gibson, who we talked about last episode. He was our first commit, wide receiver from Oklahoma. And then we've also picked up Carter Miller, center from UCF. Hank Purvis from Purdue, who's a guard on the offensive line. Exciting stuff with those guys as well. I want to mention that Mazio Bennett has announced his return to the team, along with Bakari Swain. Now I'm blanking. Who else? Shed Surratt, Donovan Murph. So it seems like the pieces are coming together, and we're starting to get an idea of what our 2026 roster is going to look like going into the spring. Right off the bat, what are your thoughts? We can get to the guys that are returning, but more intrigued to hear your thoughts on the initial portal additions, since the three guys we've added since Jaden Gibson on Monday.
Yeah, so definitely feel a lot more comfortable with us starting to get some guys in to fill actual positions of need. The O-line numbers were starting to get a little shaky at our last recording, but we've gotten two bodies into that room. I think that it's being reported that we have a tackle from Louisiana who's kind of got us in his top two right now. So hopefully we close the deal on him. And then the D tackle, Jordan Thomas from Georgia, from what I understand, he may be more of a developmental guy. I mean, he's a huge body. So you love to get a body type like that in the middle of your defense, just because he's a massive human being. But I would expect us to take another defensive tackle in addition to him. I don't think we're done at that position yet for this portal class. But yeah, I mean, you got to feel better about us starting to kind of chip away at these position groups that we definitely needed bodies for. But then even with the guys that are returning, whether it's a guy that we expected to come back or not, the fact that they are making these announcements means that we have come to an agreement with them on a number. So that just means that our budget has become a lot clearer since we last recorded. I think everyone expected Shed to return. I think a lot of people hoped that Mazio and Murph would come back. Certainly expected Bakari to return. But now that those announcements have been made public, that means that we've probably finalized, the money side of things with those guys, which should give us, more of a clear picture when we're in the portal negotiating with players that we're still trying to get.
Yeah, it's like I said, culture is going to be tested with Beamer this offseason. That is coming off a 4-8 season. That's prime get an agent out there talking, get other coaches talking. Hey, man, like, why don't you come leave South Carolina, come play with us? So I do think we were susceptible to guys leaving, and for the most part, it seems like we have all of our key guys returning. So that is just a very positive sign. And what I take from that, again, we can talk about whether it's only about money, whatever the situation may be. But at the end of the day, I think there was like 3,000 guys in the portal in college football. And so for us to be keeping, it makes me think, as we have talked about with our offensive line and how these guys are leaving, yes, there's definitely a factor into performance and money, but Beamer, for the most part, is keeping guys from last year's team outside of the offensive line. That's been the one position group. Shout out to the Cajun Cousins. That's been the one position group that we've really seen the whole room is flipped pretty much, and we're going to have all new faces in that room. Hanging on by a thread there, Cajun Cousins. But that's the thing. That's the thing that has stuck out to me is that for whatever reason, that room has been the one that's been in the portal, and then every other position, our whole linebacking core, our whole receiving core, sans Brian Rowe, but we bring in a guy immediately. Our first commits in the receiver room,
and Dre Jacobs.
So obviously getting Lenoris back, getting Dylan Stewart back, and Nick Harbor, who are the three probably most approached guys on our team, and having them come back, so it's keeping the nucleus of the roster. So I think this is all positive developments.
I saw a tweet that was kind of listing how many players had left each SEC school for the portal, and we were at 21 at the time of the tweet, which was about middle of the pack. I think the team that had the fewest departures so far was Ole Miss, but that makes sense because they're still in the playoff. That they may have more guys hop in if they lose tomorrow night or at the end of the season. I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the season, every South Carolina fan kind of had in mind the players that we absolutely could not lose or did not want to lose. And Beamer has held on to just about every single one of those guys. I think our retention rate has been pretty solid this offseason. Really the only guys that I've kind of been shocked about are Josiah, maybe Tree, maybe Trovon. But I think we kind of did need a fresh start with the O-line. So it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, we just got to keep chipping away at it. It's being reported on Twitter that we may get a visit from Chaz Coleman from Penn State. After all, I think initially we were kind of connected with him just because we hired his coach, but it seemed like we weren't really going to be able to compete from a money standpoint with I think he was connected with Ohio State and Tennessee maybe. But we are going to get a visit from him, apparently. And anytime you have a kid on campus, that means that you're at least in the running. So that would be great for obvious reasons. Just putting teams in a position where they can't just only game plan for Dylan next season. Putting a bona fide pass rusher opposite him would kind of give us a 1-2 punch like we had 2 years ago with Dylan and Kennard. So would love if we could make that happen. But we just got to keep plugging away. I like where we're at. We made the right hire at OC. We have our quarterback. We just got to keep chipping away at the portal, and I'll be feeling good about where we are going into next season once we land a couple more guys.
Yeah, I think that, the recruiting pitch to Chaz Coleman or some other edges that could potentially be coming down for a visit if Chaz Coleman ultimately ends up being out of reach. Look at the last two guys that played opposite Dylan. It was Kyle Kennard 2 years ago. He won SEC Player of the Year. I'm taking nothing away from him, but it definitely helped having Dylan Stewart on the other side. And then you look at Brian Thomas Jr. this year. He had an excellent year. He had almost double-digit sacks this season, and he's likely, I think he doesn't project as maybe a top 2 or 3 round pick, but I definitely see him getting drafted maybe in the middle rounds in the NFL, and I think he could have a successful career in the NFL. And so you put a guy in a position where he can make plays and show off his talent because Dylan's going to draw so much attention. I think that's a selling point to any edge rusher that wants to play next year in the SEC. A lot of eyeballs on you, a lot of good matchups with offensive tackles, and you get to have those one-on-one matchups because you're playing alongside Dylan. So that would be the recruiting pitch for me. If I was Deion Barnes, I'm sure he knows what the hell he's doing. That's why we hired him. He has a track record of doing these things and putting guys in the league. So excited to see that. Just one other thing in the portal. This guy out of NC State, Jacarius Peak, I believe is his name. Big dude, offensive tackle, and he actually is fresh off a visit to A&M, and I believe A&M's eliminated because it's being reported that it's down to us in Alabama. So that's a guy that it's interesting because A&M just got Trevon Ball from us, and so it's interesting to see maybe that they took Trevon if this guy didn't want to play out at A&M, but it seems like Alabama and us are the final two. So we're filling out this offensive line room. That's what everyone's paying attention to with this portal class, and I think we'll round it out well, and we just have to hopefully keep pushing, getting some of these guys on campus. It was unfortunate that some of the targets we had said they were visiting, and then they committed elsewhere before that we even got them on campus. So to your point, these other schools that were getting visits first were able to secure commitments, before they even took a look elsewhere. So that's going to be pivotal in the portal, and I think to your point, we're doing well, and we just have to keep chugging along.
In high school recruiting news, the mid-year enrollees, a lot of them got on campus either today or yesterday. And then Julian Walker, the 4-star edge that we flipped from Michigan on signing day, who had played high school football at Dutch Fork, he's at one of the All-American.
He's balling out.
And I think he's been a top performer both days in practice. So, maybe he's a guy that gets on campus and is a contributor as a freshman. That'd be great.
I hope he will, and I think Aiden Harris could as well. I saw a clip of Aiden Harris. He's at one of those all-star things as well, and it's one-on-one, and a lot of times you can't really take much from those one-on-one reps at those camps or all-star events, but he was working against a Ohio State commitment and just completely washed him in the one-on-ones. So
apparently LSU is a factor in the Chaz Coleman sweepstakes as well.
Okay. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. We could end up with the best edge room in the country when you factor if we can pull Chaz Coleman, putting him and Dylan as starters, and then having the freshman Aiden Harris and Julian Walker coming in as backups. I mean, that's
don't forget about Dez. I saw him get more burn this year than he has in the past few seasons, and I'm still looking for him to kind of pop. I think we definitely have options at edge. So, I'd like to see us round out the D tackles. I think that we're in a good position with the nickel from Kentucky. He's from Marion, South Carolina. But I'd like to see us land him. Quashid Scott. He's from Marion, South Carolina. Played at Kentucky last year. He's already been on campus. He would be perfect to step into the role that Jalen Kilgore played a lot for us last year. So, we're definitely addressing things. I think that we're gonna by the time this class wraps up, we're gonna have ticked all the boxes that you would want us to tick on paper, but then we need to see it all come together.
Is ticked all the boxes a phrase?
Checked all the boxes.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, last offseason, we were talking about question marks in the linebacker room, question marks on defense, and that ended up not being a problem at all. The defense played winning football this year. I know we struggled to get important stops at times this year, but if we had had a better offensive coordinator hire and a better offensive line portal last year and better production up front, we would have won a lot more games. So regardless of who we end up getting, on paper it's going to look like we addressed all of our needs, but we still need to get him here and coach him up, and I'm going to need to see it on the field before I pop any champagne.
100%. 100%. We'll keep tracking it, keep monitoring it, and talking about it. Something I want to talk about too, related to the portal, non-Gamecock stuff. This crazy situation that's going down with the quarterback at Washington, Desmond Williams. So he agrees to a deal to return to Washington for another year. Apparently Lane calls him up and offers him additional money. And so he's now trying to get out of his contract with Washington and go to LSU. Just the whole, it's gonna, I mean, for better or for worse, this type of situation is only going to bring more attention to what I think needs to be more regulation into all of the ongoings of college football and where it currently stands. Like Lane, I get it. I mean, he doesn't seem to like he pisses off everyone, and so this isn't surprising coming from like I think this is the first situation of its kind where a guy recommitted to his school, which again, that's ridiculous in its own right, but recommits to his school, puts pen to paper, and then, of course, you got Lane coming in, swooping in after he's already recommitted and saying, "Oh, come on down. We'll give you this, we'll give you that." I would like to see some regulation into the transfer portal. I know you think it gives us a better chance to win. But all of this is leading to, like, personally, I just think everyone should be allowed to transfer one time. Free, no like no strings attached. You can transfer. And again, this is going back to you have 5 years to play for, and you can transfer one time freely. If there is a head coaching change at your program, you also can transfer without penalty. And I think that would create an easier where there's not 3,000 kids in the portal every year. And I would also think it would create some consistency with programs and getting back to, again, more along the lines of old school college football. Recruit them, develop them, send them to the league, send them off. That's just what, I don't know. I feel like that's more of what I want to see the direction college football go. I don't love that we're talking about kids recommitting to our school after, like, it's just, I think it's stupid. And I think you can build a system, where guys get paid. Like, this is not a ramble about guys not getting paid. These guys can get paid. Like, you commit to school at a high, like, I think generally speaking with the rev share, because everyone, that's too, like, people on Twitter are complaining, like, how are these schools paying this much? Like, isn't the cap only 20.5 million? Like, that number is a fugazi. Like, that number has no meaning to any program. It's just the allotment of money that's coming out of the school or the institution.
Did you see the deal that Sorsby got at Texas Tech?
No.
He gets $5 million, right now, cash in hand, but he gets 1% of oil revenue until he hits 10 million post grad. So it's like the deal is worth 15 million total. But, like, there will always be ways around the rev share cap. Like, that's why I get what you're saying, and I think that there will be more guardrails that come in as we get closer to collective bargaining. With the Washington quarterback, I would be curious to know what the language was in the contract that he signed with Washington, because apparently it was some of the money that he was set to receive was from the Washington's portion of the Big Ten's rev share deal. And the reason initially out of the gate that players couldn't sign pay-for-play contracts is because of the way that NIL was structured under the NCAA. And I'm with you on that. I want to get all of the clutter out of it and just let the schools say, we're paying the players to play this sport for us, and sign them to pay-for-play incentive-based contracts. And that will clean up, like, that will eliminate the Juice Wells situation, where, we were paying him, he wasn't paying, or he wasn't playing, and there was no kind of recourse to get any of that money back. In the near future, they will at least have to play to get some of the money that they have been promised, like it is in the NFL. What I don't think will ever happen is there will never be any type of thing that will actually cap it, because it'll just go back channels underground again. The situation where LSU is just coming in over the top, I think that you could find a way to stop that as well. Once it is just like we can sign players to contracts, once they sign, unless the contract is drafted really poorly, it should prevent what's happening with LSU from happening. And if a school leaves themselves open to that, that is on them and their lawyers. But I will also say this: the fans or the people that are like attacking the Washington quarterback, why? Okay, he signed a contract, and then someone offered him $2 million more to do the same thing. I don't know what y'all's job is, but if someone offered me $2 million to sell touchdowns, I would take that. I think that if you have a non-compete or an employment contract and a competitor offers you $2 million more than your current salary, you're going to look at ways to get out of that non-compete. And, that's what's happening. I'm not even mad at Lane Kiffin or LSU. He thought he was going to get Trinidad. That didn't happen. He literally has Levitt on campus for a visit, but Lane needs a quarterback to win games. So he's just using the resources that he has to try and get the best players possible. And I don't fault him for that. I do think a lot of this is going to get cleaned up. But, to your point about having to re-recruit your own team, I think a lot of that will get, tampered down once there are pay-for-play contracts and that we can actually structure. But there will never be a situation where, the Jeremiah Smiths, the Cam Colemans, if you're a top 5 player in the country at your position, you are going to get offers every single year that you are in college. And that, if you can't stomach that as a fan, that if you have a player on your roster that is a top 5 player at their position, teams are going to try to woo that person away from you every single offseason. And if you can't stomach that, then don't recruit top 10 players in the country. That, it just is what it is. If you have the best players, even if you sign them to a contract, schools are going to still want that player every single year that they are in school. So that in my opinion is never going away. And
bro, that's how you eliminate that when you enforce actual rules about transferring. If you can only transfer once, that goes away. Because if Thomas is a stud, if Jeremiah Smith he's a stud recruit, he goes to Ohio State, he's the best player in the country his freshman year. He transfers to LSU because Lane Kiffin gives him $10 million. He can't transfer anymore without penalty. So there's no longer going to be these drag them out. Oh, cool. Jeremiah Smith's going to BYU because Crumble Cookie dude just stroked to $20 million. There's none more of that bullshit.
All that does is revert roster building back to everyone's
to high school. To high school, how it should be.
Okay.
Roster should be built through high school.
Calm down, because when we were getting all of the talent out of high school and they were locked in for 3 years, Bama was gray shirting top 100 players and they were just sitting on their roster. I promise you, whether or not this Jordan Thomas cat from Georgia, is our best player next year or just a contributor, the fact that he can jump into the portal without penalty and come to South Carolina, regardless of what we're paying him or what Georgia was going to pay him, his ability to come to us because he got buried on Georgia's depth chart, whether or not it really hurts Georgia, it helps us. You know, if you want to revert back to no transfers like it was, what's going to happen is Jordan Thomas is going to sit on Georgia's roster as the 8th defensive tackle and not play any, but he's also not going to come play for us. So these teams that can just suck up all the talent out of high school and hoard them, there's not going to be roster turnover. I promise you, as annoying and frustrating as you think it is to have to re-recruit our roster every year, the movement of talent, the reason that it is harder to have a dynasty right now than before the portal is because the talent is spread out. This is helping us more than it's hurting us. I promise you that.
They're not going to be able to hoard talent out of high school because it's now out all in the open. So other schools are going to be paying kids out of high school.
Money was always a factor. I know that there's more money in play than there used to be, but there's
more money and more programs willing to do it.
The real thing that is shaking up the talent and spreading thing out is the portal, is the free movement. Like, this isn't a perfect example because his coach did get fired this offseason. But if hypothetically Chaz Coleman had to sit out a year when he came here, he would just stay at Penn State. Like, no, there isn't a single South Carolina fan that doesn't want Chaz Coleman. But if we change up the portal, yeah, if you have to sit, if you get one free transfer, and then after that you have to sit out a year, there's not going to be 3,000 kids going into the portal every year. But that means that the portal isn't going to have as much talent. And, okay, yeah, you won't be able to hoard it out of high school, but we're not going to be able to go into the portal and supplement our roster as well because now there's only going to be 1,000 kids in the portal. And there's only going to be 200 that are good. And Texas, Georgia, Ohio State, LSU, all the teams that used to dominate high school recruiting are going to get the only good kids in the portal because there's going to be less talent that is actually worth a shit. And moreover, you know, if you change the transfer portal rules, we're stuck with Boaz Stanley for 2 more years. You think that he's going to the portal because he didn't get paid enough? We told him to get the fuck off the roster. But if you change he transferred in from Troy. He's not going to transfer out to sit on the bench somewhere.
Transfer portal was different. We would have tried to develop our 8 4-star linemen instead of looking for a quick fix from the portal. We actually would force these coaches that make $11 million to actually do their fucking jobs instead of begging fans for money for players. How about you fucking recruit a high school guy, develop him, and make him a good player? You make $11 million, Shane Beamer. Your staff makes fucking $1 million apiece.
All I'm saying is,
I know it doesn't always work out.
But sometimes you whiff on player evaluations, whether it be in the portal or out of high school. I am of the opinion that the current portal rules even the playing field more than what it used to be. And you know, if Indiana does not win the national championship this year, then the blue chip ratio is still intact. And for those that don't know what the blue chip ratio is, there hasn't been a team to win the national championship since 2000 that hasn't had 75% of their roster comprised of 4 or 5-star prospects. If Indiana wins, that will be changed. But, you know, that basically is saying, regardless of how you acquire the talent, the team with the best players win the national championship. And the underlying floor of that, whether you want to admit it or not, pre-portal, post-portal, pre-NIL, post-NIL is money. So yes, I agree. The things that we agree on is the calendar needs to change. You shouldn't have to be recruiting your team back to yourself while you're still actively in the playoff. You shouldn't have to choose between coaching a team that is actively in the playoff or going to the school that you're going to coach next year. Schools shouldn't have to be balancing, hiring a new coach while the, early signing day is happening. There are so many things wrong with the calendar. But I firmly, firmly believe that as much as people seem to not like it, the way that the portal currently is, where they can transfer as many times as they want, I think that is better for the little guy. And until, I see otherwise, I will continue to believe that.
That's fair. I mean, I don't love it. Like I said, I mean, when we were texting earlier, college football shouldn't feel like the NFL. And I don't know. That's all I'm getting at. And again, the thing about it, and we'll end this conversation because I've just been harping on these little things that piss me off day to day about news in college football, and I just want to get some more structure to it. And I don't have all the answers, but I just think there needs to be some structure changes, some major structural changes to what is going on in college football.
Dude, and I get it. Like you want to know your team. You want to root for a player over the course of multiple years, and like I think that there will still be the opportunity to do that in a lot of cases. Like, there will be players that commit out of high school and spend their whole career with one team. And those will probably be the favorite players. But, I don't have a problem with having a core from high school and then supplementing the rest of the team via the portal. I don't want to go the FSU route because they haven't done.
I think that's what I'm saying. I think that you can still accomplish that with guardrails on the transfer portal, because you're recruiting and developing a team, and then all you're doing is filling gaps in the portal. You're picking up. All right, we need a DB. Like we have a freshman DB that we don't trust next year. We need to go get a DB. There's going to be DBs in the portal that you can go get instead of starting that freshman corner. Like, it shouldn't be, but the portal should be a part of it, but it shouldn't be the roster building mechanism in college football. High school recruiting should be the roster building mechanism, and the portal should be supplementary. And right now, I think the portal takes precedent to the high school recruiting, is what I'm saying. I just think it should be flipped. High school recruiting should be more important to college football than portal. Maybe that's the best way I've said it in over these last episodes.
Well, I mean, depending on who wins the national championship, I don't know that high school recruiting still isn't the most important thing. Like, if Indiana or Ole Miss win, then Oregon's roster is primarily high school kids. And I think Miami's is as well. They have more people on their roster from high school recruiting than the portal.
I don't know the statistics on that.
Georgia was definitely that makeup. Like, there still hasn't been a team that has won a national championship with more portal players than high school recruits. That wasn't true of Ohio State last year. That wasn't true of Michigan the year before. So it's like, I think that a lot of it is kind of overblown as well. Like, the core of our team is still high school recruits. Lenoris, Dylan, Nick, high school.
I agree, and that's how it should be. But we had to, that's what I'm saying.
Renegotiating the contract is not a big deal, in my opinion. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Like, it would be silly for these kids to not. I'm not saying that
I'm not faulting them for what they're doing in the current system. I fault no one for anything they're doing in the current system, because the current system is what it is. So I give no fault to any player, any coach.
And I'm sure
it's the current system. I'm just saying the system needs to change slightly.
I'm sure very soon collective bargaining, or like whenever college football inevitably breaks away from the NCAA and the Power Four plus Notre Dame start governing ourselves, there's gonna be a collective bargaining agreement. They're gonna have contracts, and I'm sure one of the recruiting strategies will be, we're going to sign you, but you have to sign to a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal.
Yeah, but that shit sucks. That's not college football. That's minor league football. That's ass. That is not college football. I would fucking hate that. I would stop watching it if that happened. Maybe. I say that, but maybe I have to put. That's ass, bro.
How is that ass? I don't understand why that makes you like it less than when we were kids. Because when we were kids, they were getting paid under the table and they just had less. Like, the kids were just getting exploited.
Bro, do you not make fun of fans of teams that don't attend the school? Do you not make fun of people? That's what you're gonna get. When they break up, it's just gonna be, oh fuck, I live in South Carolina, so I'm gonna be a Clemson fan. It's just going to be minor league football. Do you not understand that? Like, this is what I'm trying to get at, of the essence of college football and what it actually is. Like, it's so different than NFL. And what you're describing is minor league football. It's not college football.
So, in 2010, Marcus Lattimore was the number 1 running back in the country, Burns High School. Pre-NIL, he comes to South Carolina. We gave him money in some way or another. He definitely could have made more in today's game than he made back then.
Sure.
But, he came to South Carolina, and when he signed his national letter of intent, that locked him into us. And if he would have left South Carolina, he would have had to sit out a year before he played again. But when he signed with us, it was always with the goal of, going to the NFL. How is that any different than if 2 years from now, the number 1 running back in the country is from South Carolina, and we sign him to a 3-year NIL deal, and he comes to South Carolina, and we pay him to play for us for 3 years, and then he goes pro? What is the difference in your mind?
Because Marcus Lattimore, he went to school in Columbia. He ate at the Russell House just like I did. He went to class just like I did. He had the college experience at South Carolina.
So will the guy.
No, this is they're going to separate from the schools and the universities entirely. This is what I'm getting at. Like, this is what I'm getting at about all these changes is you're getting away from the essence of college football. And I don't know that I'm articulating it right. That's the only way I know how to articulate it. But like the reason you're a South Carolina fan and you care so much about South Carolina is because Dad went to South Carolina.
Right.
It was a part of him.
Right.
And he shared that with us.
Right.
And then we became passionate about it. And then we went to school there.
But
these are all the things that are not going to be
that's
happening.
why we like it. That will still be true. I'm saying I don't think the players necessarily felt that way. Like I think that you're imagining that. I think the players.
Bro, there's still 18-year-old kids that go to school for more reasons than just money. Like,
right. And there will still be players that love their school in the future when they're getting paid.
Bro, I just can't articulate it to you. I can't.
I get what you're saying. I'm just saying I think that you are overestimating how players in the past used to feel about their alma maters, and you're underestimating how much they could still love their school even though they're getting paid what they deserve. Like college football, the Indiana Alabama game got substantially more views than the highest watched NBA Finals game did last season. Like college football generates a fuck ton of money. And up until very recently, the players got little to none of that. They did the best with what they had available to them. I don't have a problem with them getting a much bigger chunk of that. And all these fans that think that they're spoiled.
I'm not talking about them getting paid. I want them to get paid. I want them to get paid.
Then what is you said that you wouldn't feel the same if once collective bargaining comes possible that we're signing high school kids to 3-year contracts. And that's what makes them stay at South Carolina for 3 years.
No, that is what like I said, I don't know how to express it to you, but someone will, maybe Ross understands what I'm trying to get at. I'm just saying as a fan, okay, how about this? As a fan of college football, I'm becoming more and more less passionate about it, the way the game is trending. How about that? That's all I'm saying. I want to see some changes so that growing up a college football fan and a very passionate college football fan, I do not like the way the game is changing. That's all I'm getting at. And it's making me, yes, college football ratings are through the roof, probably because fucking people in Chicago and LA, and it's in these big markets, it's minor league football. I'm going to be interested in this now because, these guys are getting paid and, I can see them and then they're going to come to my NFL team. So now I have an interest in college football because it's like a minor league. Whereas it used to be like NFL fans and college football fans used to be different. But all right, let's wrap it up. We're on a tangent. Quick note, Kelby Collins is a Bama defensive lineman. He committed to Florida out of high school, then transferred to Bama. We were in on his recruitment from what I recall in high school. He's visiting this upcoming weekend. And also Josh Sapp, who's a tight end from Pickens Tech. So that'll be interesting to see if we do anything there with those two guys. But let's talk CFP, Thomas. Semifinals, Indiana versus Oregon, Miami, Ole Miss. Two interesting games. I kind of hate that we got the Georgia Ole Miss game ended up being awesome. But I kind of hated that we got a rematch. I do kind of hate that we have a rematch with Indiana, Oregon. I would have preferred this to be like Ole Miss, Indiana, Oregon, Miami, or vice versa. But I've been a hater on Oregon, and they've been proving me wrong. So I'm actually gonna ride with Oregon in this game, +4. They've played already this season. Oregon looked really good against Texas Tech, at least defensively, and so this is an intriguing matchup because it is a rematch. We saw Ole Miss beat Georgia in a rematch after losing to Georgia in the regular season. So anything can happen in these games. I think Oregon and Indiana are pretty evenly matched. So that'll be an interesting game Friday night, and then tomorrow night, Ole Miss versus Miami. You could argue Indiana's the story of the college football playoff. These other two schools might be right there with them. Miami just being the team that almost got left out, and then they jumped Notre Dame at the last week, and now they're making a run on their side of the bracket, going on the road to A&M, and then beating Ohio State. So that's a good story. And then obviously, I think the story of the playoff and the season now, just because of how everything's gone down with Lane Kiffin and the drama that is still persisting. Like Pete Golding was shit talking Lane Kiffin today, talking about recruiting, and he had I don't have the direct quote, but Pete Golding's winning over a lot of people. I feel like he's done awesome.
He said, we recruit off of projection. You can show somebody a trophy case with Heisman's or national championships in them, but they weren't there when they won them, essentially. That's why people know it was targeting Lane, because there are coaches that are at schools where they won a championship. Lane is at a school that has national championships and Heisman's that he was not a part of.
Right. Yeah. Awesome quote. Like I said, Pete Golden he's winning over a lot of people, and Ole Miss had a great win against Georgia, and they're a story. And the back and forth with LSU, I think that talk about what might be the most watched game next year is going to be Ole Miss LSU. I'm looking forward. That'll be appointment television, but I'm taking the Rebs. I think it's going to be a great game. I do think Miami's front is awesome, but honestly, I think Trinidad is better than Julian Sayin. I think Julian Sayin was overrated all year, and I think just Trinidad makes winning plays. Kawan Lacey, they got some juice on their offense, and I think it'll be a very close game. But I'm going to trust Trinidad over Carson Beck in this type of game, and we'll see what happens. But I expect both of these semifinal games to be really good games.
My picks are a reflection of what I would like to happen, not necessarily what I think will happen, although I think these semifinal games are going to be good. And I could see both games going either way. But I want Ole Miss and Indiana to be the national championship matchup. Although, when the playoffs started, I wanted Indiana to win it all. And the further we go into it, and the more all these cronies online are, and I don't even really care about the SEC. I really don't. All SEC fans get made fun of for being a conference fan. Outside of Clemson, all of the teams that I hate the most are SEC teams. I hate Tennessee. I root against Tennessee literally every single time they play, unless they're playing Clemson. The last time that I rooted for Tennessee was when they played Clemson in that bowl game. So I don't care about the conference. I like that it is a good recruiting tool that for the past 15 years, the SEC has been considered the best conference. But it's like these SEC bias and like ACC means less and like Big Ten accounts are just so obnoxious that they're like making me want Ole Miss to win just so I can tell them to shut the fuck up. Like the Big Ten has won the last 2 national championships. The SEC won like the prior 15 before that. And I know that it was mostly Alabama, but it's just like the amount that the rest of the college football landscape has done relative to us, and they're saying that we're dead, is just become annoying for me. Like, I know that it's rage bait, but fucking Dave Portnoy said that Iowa would be the best team in the SEC this year. Like, that's ridiculous. So, I mean, I would like Ole Miss to beat Miami. I would like Indiana to beat Oregon. And I'll still probably pull for Indiana when it's all said and done. But I might end up having to root for Ole Miss because they're just pissing me off. And I don't even like the SEC.
It'll be interesting. If Indiana loses, a lot of your pipe dreams go out the window.
What pipe dreams?
Well, I guess Oregon and Ole Miss have never won a championship. About the first new college football national champion.
Right.
So I guess you would still have potentially Ole Miss or Oregon if Indiana loses to Oregon. But yeah, I think it's gonna be 2 good games. I'll throw this out there. I think this is Indiana's Dan Campbell moment. I think if they don't win it, they're not going to get back to this.
I couldn't disagree more. They have an excellent portal class.
Ross didn't like that, Dan Campbell.
They have an excellent portal class already. It's been widely reported today that Mark Cuban, the billionaire owner of the Mavs, who a cute Shark Tank, host. I didn't even know that he went to Indiana, but apparently
I knew that because I watched Shark Tank.
Apparently he gave them a pretty nice donation for the first time in his life. So I mean, what the hell is going on? Indiana had literally lost more games than any other team in college football history. They had never been relevant. They had no history to speak of. And they hired Cignetti. They've lost 1 game since he's been their coach. They're undefeated. They're the 1 seed. And they have a billionaire donor come out of nowhere and start caring about the program. Like, they're literally living out my dream right in front of me. Like, this is bullshit, dude. Where is our money? Where are our billionaire alumni? When is it going to be our turn?
I would give Cignetti more credit than the cash, but
no,
again,
I am. He's a great coach, but I'm saying he's about to get cash now, so they're not going anywhere.
I don't think they're going to make the playoff next year. I
think they're going to get better. Like what I think is going to happen is now either Penn State under Matt Campbell, Michigan under what's his face, or someone else that used to have a pretty strong foothold in the Big Ten. They just got bumped down a peg. I feel like Ohio State will be able to hold their own, but Indiana is now new big dog at the top of the conference. So everyone else just got, knocked down. That's what I think.
Fair enough. That's my first hot take of 2026. Indiana will not make the playoff. I don't know if that's a hot take, but I mean, they are 26-2 the last two seasons and in the semifinal. So, and perceived to be a new power, but we'll see what happens. Their schedule isn't too daunting, but Gamecock's chatter presented by Cajun Cousins. Flip this around for the boys since the flag fell. We got a quad one win last night. We beat LSU on the road. About the perfect half of basketball was played in the first half. LSU minus 8.5 in the second half was the freest money ever. We made the plays to win down the stretch, though. This is. I mean, I'm gonna give credit where credit's due. This is exciting. I was speaking of the end of the program on Monday. I still think the second half is more indicative of the team we are than the first half, and we happen to have the number one hardest strength of schedule remaining in the entire country. So it doesn't get any easier. I think this was a game we had to have. It at least makes the Georgia game on Saturday interesting and watchable. So I'm excited. Elijah Strong, 30 points. He's hilarious. Like I love his confidence, and sometimes I think his confidence doesn't match his abilities, but he had a hell of a game, and like I said, 30 points, career high. We get the dub on the road, quad one win. So this is either hopefully a springboard for what could be a decent SEC run, or we're going to get our tails kicked at home by Georgia, and it's going to go back to the same old story. So celebrate a win when we can. It was a good one. We held on. It should have a little bit more nerve wracking than it should have been, but Eli Ellis made a big shot late in the game. We made some plays and got some stops. So I'll take a win when we can get one.
Yeah, never going to complain about a Q1 win, especially on the road. When you shoot 75% from three, that's usually a good formula. I think we were 9 for 12 from three in the first half, which was definitely what allowed us to build that lead. Glad we were able to hold on to that. All Gamecock fans are going to be scarred from a comeback victory, not being able to hold on to a lead for quite some time. So that does that does make the PTSD on that situation a little bit better. But I hope we continue to stay hot shooting the ball, and we have plenty of opportunity to have a great
right. If we can go one or two games above 500 in SEC, it might be good enough to get us in. I mean, we were so bad in non-conference that we might get screwed just because we're not a brand name either. But yeah, we got the hardest schedule in the country, so we're going to have plenty of opportunities for Q1 and Q2 wins. So beat the dogs on Saturday. The game's in Columbia. Touchdowns is open, so go out and support the Gamecock basketball team, and also go over to Touchdowns before or after the game, or during the game. Hell, watch it there or watch it in the arena. But definitely go get you some wings and a Philly cheese and a beer, and watch some college basketball on Saturday, as well as there's 2 NFL games to watch. So head on down to Touchdowns and 5 Points. Appreciate everyone who listens. Please subscribe on our YouTube page, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen or watch. Please subscribe, comment, let us know what you're thinking about the portal acquisitions, what you want us to talk about as we have these episodes. Follow us on socials, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. You see the ats there on the screen. And for those listening, at Touchdowns 5 Points on Instagram and YouTube, at TDs 5 Points on Twitter, and also on TikTok. I believe it's TDs 5 Points. Appreciate everyone listening. As always, go Cox.
Go Cox.